This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
With supply chains becoming more complex, you need to stay on top of the latest logistics developments. So if you work with logistics, you need the Beyond the Box podcast from Maersk. It's the easy way to keep up to date with everything from digital disruption in logistics to the need for supply chain resilience in today's market. Find out more and keep ahead of the game with the Beyond the Box podcast on logistics insights at maersk.com/insights.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode, and I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Andrew, and he is an executive coach. He's a business owner, and he's a great guest for the audience. He's going to talk to us all about his work, his business. He's a bold moves catalyst, and I'm really happy to welcome him to the show. So, Andrew, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and what I love is more and more people are finding things that align with their values, and there's more options. We live in a very dynamic society. So talk about your story, briefly what you do, how you got there, and how you can help the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an executive coach. I specialize in leadership wellness. I'm the CEO and founder of Bold Moves Coaching and Consulting. For the past 16 years, though, I worked in construction and part family-owned business here in Canada. I'm out of Montreal, and we service Canada coast to coast. And I worked my way up from being an administrative assistant through our 24/7 service department geared solely on customer service, from coast to coast, and grew myself up to be one of the owner operators of the business. So of my 16 years there, I was an owner for about 4 of them before deciding to exit the company. And although construction was my occupation, people were my passion. I always really enjoyed working with my teams, my direct reports, my clients, my trades. And so I decided to extract the thing that excited me the most and make it my sole focus. And that's where coaching came into play. I did a lot of soul searching, did some counseling, found out that coaching would be a potential good career for me. Went back, got a certification, and been working on this for about 2 years now. And being an executive, have been a former executive myself, I really felt I had a great advantage for being able to coach these individuals. Specifically, given my age, I'm 37 years old. I understand the different generational mindsets. I understand my father's generation, the baby boomers, and how they manage their companies. And I also understand the new Gen Zs and where they're coming from in terms of more work-life balance, more flexibility, more working from home privileges. And so I feel like I'm in a unique position, Chris, to bring these people together and create a really dynamic and fun work environment where everyone can flourish. Not only though flourish at home, flourish at work, but also flourish at home. And so when I say I specialize in leadership wellness, I specialize in working with executives or leaders within the company to not only make them more effective and present at work, but make them more effective and present at home with their families, their children, their partners. When you speak to most executives, they say when they're home, they're not mentally home. They're physically home, but not mentally home. And so I'm working with individuals to change that. I want people to recognize that to be fulfilled in life, it's not just about having a successful career. It's about much more than that. Our career is only one area of 9 of our life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I really love that, because what you're talking about is success versus fulfillment. And
Yes.
talk about work-life harmony and how do you define that, and what strategies do you recommend to executives who struggle to balance their ambitions with their personal lives?
Absolutely. I love the terminology work-life harmony. I actually like to go with work, non-work life, because a work-life balance suggests that we have work and then we have life, but really work is part of our life. It's part of the umbrella. So I like the terminology work, non-work. What I do with executives is I really break things down to basics for them. They're overcomplicating things in their life, and they're not being clear in their goals, their ambitions, when is enough type situation. So I break it down to people's values. I work with them, I bring them down to their values and what means most to them in life. And what means most to you in life translates into your professional world one way or another. I know we hear a lot about corporate values, but where do you think those come from? They really stem from our personal values. And so I bring things back down to their personal values and then really shed a spotlight into how they can manage their time more effectively in their days. Studies have shown that the human brain can do 4 to 6 hours of hard cognitive work a day. That's it. So why are we doing 12 to 14-hour days? Why are we out of the house 60 hours a week? We're not being productive. We're not being efficient. And so there really is enough time in a day to do the hard work, be ambitious, be effective at work, hit your goals, but also leave time at home. And when you're home, to be intentionally home and present. And I work with them on tricks on how to leave the office at the office, so to speak, even if you work from home. I work with them to create that light switch on off and give them tips and tricks that can really ground them and make them more present with their families.
Yeah. What's interesting is I love this, which brings up so many memories back in the corporate world where it was just like from 8 to 5, and it's just like you're good for the first 4 to 6 hours, and then the remaining
Yeah.
is just like just running on fumes, and you're just wasting time. You can be working out and doing other more productive things. And then how do you coach, or what do you recommend for the individuals, like they're stuck, like their jobs or careers are high paying, and but they've got a wife and kid, and they've got a mortgage and car loans and student loans, and it's not really fulfilling them, but it allows them to travel and take vacations and provide for their family.
Yeah, I work on something called the Wheel of Life. And the Wheel of Life, what it does is there's 9 areas. And in that, I'm not going to go through all of them just here because I might miss one, but work and career is just one of 9. You have health, you have finances, you have relationships, hobbies. And so we go through this holistic or comprehensive overview of the 9 areas to see on a 1 to 10 scale, how satisfied are you with each area? And think of it like if it's a wheel, think of it like your car, the wheel on your car, right? If you're driving on a flat tire, you're not very efficient. You're not going very far. So the goal is to really try and round off our wheel as best as possible. You're never going to have tens across the board. Let's be realistic. But it's creating a smooth ride for us and being more efficient. And the best way to do this is to practice self-care. So the one thing I work on with leaders, and they think it's counterintuitive, right? A leader is always trying to take care of their children, their wife, their spouse, their partner, their employees, whatever it may be. They're always focusing on someone else,
Uh,
depleting their tank, flattening their tire. So what the first thing I absolutely do is I do this assessment with them, and we draw a picture of moment in time and then focus on self-care. Because if you focus on your self-care, if you get enough sleep, if you eat right, if you exercise, if you do some mindfulness exercises, it doesn't have to be meditation. There are many others out there that you can do throughout your day. You do these things that replenish your personal body budget, your allostasis, then you're able to show up more efficient for those other people. And it sounds counterintuitive, but think of the airplane analogy, right? You put the mask on yourself before you put it on somebody else. There's a reason for that, because if you don't take care of yourself, how can you possibly show up best for other people? And so to create these efficiencies, to create this smooth life is really start with yourself. And that's why I call it leadership wellness. We're calling it take care of your own wellness, and you'll be surprised by how quickly you're able to really make that switch from on off, from switching from home to work and so on and so forth.
yeah, I love that. Some things that, like sometimes that quick 15-minute cat nap, or like a meditation, or just a walk, or just and even like a midday workout, those are refresh you, and so you can be more present. Talking about parents, because a lot of the audience, they're parents, and they're
Mm.
leaders in their families. What particular parenting skills have you found to be effective in a corporate setting, and vice versa?
Absolutely. So I have 2 children of my own. So I learned this the hard way, learning from my own experiences. My kids are currently 8 and 6. But when the pandemic hit, the pandemic was a turning point for me because it brought me home not only physically, but also emotionally, where my kids at that time were 4 and 2. And what I learned while working from home and also being present with my family is when you're with them, you really need to create a disconnect between the two. You really need to draw a fine line. I can't recall how many times I was on a work call and doing the finger to my daughters, saying 1 minute daddy's on the phone, daddy's on the phone. And I caught myself saying, no, this is not how I want to be a parent. This is not how I want my kids to remember what work is like and what a profession is like and what, but their dad was always busy doing something else. And what I've done for myself is found ways to connect with my children that are meaningful for them, but that are also creative, that it keeps me engaged and allows me to change my mindset. So I can't just trail off and think about what's happening on a job site or at the office or what have you. So what I do is I create these really creative games where we can really bond and connect, but it causes me to immerse myself into their world as well a little bit. So there's a huge creative aspect, which is really fun. And we tend to lose our imagination as we grow up, but having kids, anyone who has kids knows it brings you back a little bit and should really grab onto that because it is key in connecting with kids, especially at a young age, is finding those areas that are going to be fun for both of you and create those lasting memories.
Yeah, I love that. And ultimately, it's all about the relationships and the experiences, and it's about your health and being in your family, in your spouse. And the next question is talking about, because a lot of leadership and is about empathy and communication. And how do you incorporate empathy and communications, often honed through parenting, into your approach to leadership and team management?
Having kids made me a better communicator. It really it was a changed the game for me. When you're speaking to your children, you tend to be a lot more patient, a lot more understanding because you understand that they don't know they don't know how the world works. They're learning everything through your lens, through what you're explaining. And you grow a level of compassion and empathy for your children because you love them so much, right? It's unconditional love. And I use that and I translated it to my work environment. The thing within work that most people get caught up in is the pace. Things are so fast that they don't want to take the time to sit and listen, to explain things, or just listen actively without even providing your feedback, providing a solution. Let's literally just sit there and hear someone else's perspective and try to understand where they're coming from. Really, that empathetic side that you're talking about. And so what I did and what I recommend is slow things down. You don't always just need to give the answer and get off to the next project because we're so high strung on just being as productive as possible. Like I said, you got 4 to 6 hours of hard cognitive work a day. You got plenty of time to slow things down, be intentional with your team on how you want to communicate. And I did this in my construction company. In my last 2 years there, where I was transitioning out, it was a 2 year transition, is I would sit with each member of my team for 1 hour a week, and they got to choose the agenda. Yes, I had my own hidden topics that I wanted to get something out of them, but at the end of the day, whether it was personal, professional, I took time to listen, and that changed the game for a lot of things. It built stronger, positive relationships with my coworkers. It built trust. It built an understanding. Productivity went up, morale went up. It really just a matter of slowing things down, which again, a lot of people in corporate America don't believe they need to, we got to go, we got to go. We're behind the 8 ball. Slow it down, take a breath, the same way you would with your kids. And I'm not saying I do that with my kids all the time. I'm a human being. Sometimes we got to get out of the house, get your shoes on, get in the car, we got to go. But when you can catch yourself and be more present and just really slow things down, that is where you can build that compassion. That's where you build that empathy. And that's where you're actually most effective.
I know we have around 8, 9 minutes remaining. And so talk about, you've worked 16 years, climbed the corporate ladder. A lot of people made personal sacrifices. And what describe that feeling that you achieve your goals and you have all the 6-figure income and all the metrics, but not being fulfilled. And talk about how to avoid that and what is the cause of that? Because that's a lot of, I see that in Olympic athletes, professional athletes, doctors, lawyers, and it just spirals like they do drugs or they cheat on their spouse or they just, commit suicide. Or talk about what you learned.
Yeah, that's awesome, Chris. They're looking for that outlet. And you touched on it before. It's that difference between success and fulfillment. Oftentimes people think that they're the same, but they're not. Success is for me is very external. It shows people the house, the car, the accomplishments that you've made. Fulfillment is something you feel. It's something when you wake up in the morning and you feel energized, you feel that you're excited to go do what you're going to do. Those are really two different feelings and two different metrics. And so, to your point, I had all the traditional metrics of success. I had the job security. I had freedom as an owner. I had the salary and dividends and everything else to go with it. And I still wasn't waking up with that smile on my face. I was actually waking up with a bit of dread saying, ugh, another hard day. It's like Groundhog Day. Another day. I've done this before. I've been doing it for years. And I didn't have to do it for 30 years to catch myself. Again, I thank the pandemic for that because it was a bit of a smack in the face. It changed my routine. I don't know if I'd be where I am today talking to you if the pandemic never happened. But when I got home and I saw that I was missing all the small moments with my children, I was only seeing them on weekends for the most part because I was gone 50, 60 hours a week. So I was seeing them, if lucky, at night and on weekends. But it was when I saw them on a regular basis all the time and I was seeing all the awesome, cool things that energized me. That was a different feeling for me. And I said, okay, hold on. There's something here because I have the success, but I'm lacking the fulfillment. And so I needed to stop. I needed to slow things down. And so your question is, what's my advice to someone who has the success, but still having that feeling that something's missing is really stop and think about what that fulfillment looks like for them. What are the things that give them energy? What are the things that give them joy? At the end of your working career, your career's done. No one's going to remember that. What do you want to be remembered for, that lasting legacy? We have an exercise in coaching where we say, try to visualize yourself on your deathbed, looking back at who you are today and what would they say to you? And then also look at your 8-year-old self and think about what they would think about what you're doing today, given all the dreams and ambitions. Our imaginations were wild when we were kids. What do you want to be when you're older? And if you do that comparison and take a snapshot and really get a holistic feedback from yourself, reflective feedback on yourself of, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now? I think that's key. And some people may say yes, and that's power to them. But I think a lot of people are going to say no. A lot of people are going to say, I'm doing what's convenient for me right now. And the studies show that 70% in Canada and the US anyway, 70% of people are disengaged right now in their work. So they're quiet quitting or they're actively looking for another job. And I think that's very telling because it's not just about a paycheck. Life's too short. There's more to it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, it reminds me of a very famous quote is like success without fulfillment is failure. And I really love how you describe that. And I always talk to the boomer and the silent generation to get wisdom. And they always say, don't work as hard because that time can be better spent with family and investing in others. And they wish they hadn't worked so hard or so on such trivial things. How can people find out more about you, follow your social media, reach out to you for coaching, etc.?
Absolutely. So first off, my website, landing page, www.boldmovescoaching.ca. You can, on there, I have a whole contact me section. You can read about what kind of services I offer, and you can reach me through there, or you can follow me on LinkedIn under Andrew Beaulieu. I'm very present on LinkedIn so that we can always chat. There's no strings attached. I just like connecting with people and getting to know their stories. I'm on Instagram at bold_moves_coaching, which is also my handle for my Facebook profile for Bold Moves Coaching. And I am also on YouTube at bold_moves_coaching, where I post regularly every week. We're releasing new videos on tips and tricks on how to live a more fulfilling life, reduce stress, so on and so forth. Definitely YouTube, great source of information and inspiration.
Yeah, I love that. And for all the audience, let's thank Andrew for coming on and what a fantastic discussion. Be sure to give his socials a like and follow and reach out to him. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Chris. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.